Welcome to Revision Fairy. I am Stephanie. You may already know that, but this video is going to be the new channel trailer for the Revision Fairy channel. So I'd like to welcome everyone, whether you've been here before or if this is your first time. I started Revision Fairy in 2008, and since 2014, I've been Copyblogger's Editor-in-Chief, where I teach better writing, disciplined creativity, and non-sleazy marketing. And that, of course, spills over into what I talk about on this channel. So I sort of feel the need to reintroduce myself because we have a different setting. I started making videos about once a week a year ago. And the last video I made was right before everything shut down where I live. It was at the very beginning of quarantine when there was no mandatory orders. It was more like a suggestion. That's when I filmed that video that's called Stay Well Writers. I'll link that in the description box below. And then I took a break. And now I've come back and I'll explain what's been going on since that video. And the channel's pretty much the same, but I had to do a new context. I needed a new angle. I've been a million different people since I filmed that last video. As I'm sure a lot of people can relate to, I've changed my mind, my opinions, my beliefs, how I feel about things every day, sometimes every hour. And for me, I just can't film when I'm like that. And I knew that, and I sort of predicted that's where things were going when I made that last video. And so, yeah, I needed to take a break, and it really reflects what I talk about on this channel a lot, because everything you do is for your audience. You are producing content to serve someone, but at the same time, it has to resonate with you, and you have to feel like you're in the right headspace to put out the work that matches your intention. And I knew that just wasn't going to happen. It took about a month and a half before I got to that point. And it's also related to the video that I made a while back about the art of waiting versus procrastination. And I'll link that video in the description box below as well. But the summary of that is there's a time where you need to regroup and really think through your creative ideas so that they come out the best way possible for where you're at that time. But procrastination happens when we know exactly what we need to do, but for some reason, whether it's fear or something else, lots of valid reasons why we procrastinate. I do it too. But for me, procrastination is when you know exactly what you need to do, and for some reason, you're just not doing it. So I've spent the last month and a half sort of doing the art of waiting, where I'm gathered my thoughts about the changing world and figured out how I was going to move forward with this channel. Because with everything happening, I know a lot of people are doing the same content, or the same content with a quarantine twist or a stay-at-home twist, or they've altered things in some way. And I just didn't know how I was going to do that, but I couldn't show up and be like, here are 7 things that professional writers don't say. I'll link to that video below because I made that a while back as well. I couldn't just show up and do my normal content, even though, as I mentioned already, the channel hasn't changed that much. I needed a new environment. I needed a new angle. I needed some other context for which to give my writing advice. And I came up with Dystopia Diner for a number of reasons. And I want to sit more over here in case I ever need to put anything up on the screen. I'm experimenting with that. I sort of have a counter. Actually, I do have a counter. I have a counter and bar stools behind me, so that worked out well, even though I'm going to return to blocking that for the staging of Dystopia Diner. But where the idea came from was there was a diner that was open for 27 years where I live, and I calculated that I had been going to it for 22 years. It was a place I went to when I was happy, when I was sad. I did a lot of writing work there, just as a place where I could get something to eat and write over the years. A lot of growth, a lot of evolution. And amidst the pandemic, it shut down permanently. And so that it's such a superficial, minor thing, because I obviously haven't addressed the many, many layers and levels of how the pandemic is affecting everyone in some way, some in absolutely devastating ways, and some in lighter ways. And so this is definitely one of the lighter ways, but it is, for me, it's a point of change. And, there'll be other restaurants and other diners. Everything has an expiration date. But it was such a home base for me and someplace that I could go. And I just decided that I wanted my channel to be more like a diner you could go to and get some bit of comfort, which is a really... it's a lot to ask. I don't know if you're going to get any comfort from my videos, and I don't want to put a ton of pressure on myself to do that, but that's sort of the direction that I want to go in, to pay tribute to a place that meant a lot to me, and then hopefully pay that forward. And as I mentioned, things are constantly changing in this sort of dystopian way. I don't feel like there's a going back. We've reached a turning point. No matter, even if you're only lightly affected by what has been going on in the world. But Revision Fairy, the reason why I'm not changing the name of the Revision Fairy channel in general, I'm keeping it Revision Fairy, because Revision Fairy has always been about producing the best work that you can, given what you know at a certain time, and then evolving and growing from there, by always staying open to learning and experimenting and implementing new things that come up, new strategies, new techniques, new tips in your work to evolve and grow. And that's what we're all doing now, not just in our writing work, but in life. There's no right way to be doing things right now. Things are so new. So that is why I'm still giving the same writing advice. It's not like things are going to be so different, but I really want to honor the circumstances right now, and that we're all sort of navigating new ground. We're going to be doing the best we can in all aspects of business and life, and then making edits as we go. I'm big on taglines. I'm always coming up with a different tagline. And so I think, it's still on my website, is write and edit your story. That was like the Revision Fairy tagline on my website. And that's what we're all doing right now. So a year ago, I started posting these videos on YouTube, and I did them once a week. But as I've evolved and grown, and this is going back to me changing my mind every 2 seconds, and the 20 million different people that I've been over the past month and a half, as I've been grieving an old way of life, even though arguably my life has changed very little. There's still things that creep in. And so, where was I going with that? I think, how I'm going to be posting videos. I like kind of giving you insight into my creative choices, because it shows how intentional content needs to be, and that you can't just like whip it together. It needs to have a strategy and a plan. And I used to, in order to make these videos manageable for my schedule, because this isn't what I do full-time, I work for Copyblogger full-time, I would batch film videos and then release one a week every Wednesday. And that was my production schedule and my strategy for producing consistent content. All of that was intentional. And now things get outdated really quickly. If I batch filmed the videos a month in advance, 2 weeks later, I could possibly hate that video. I hate all my videos. I hate everything that I do. But it could be just really outdated and not relevant anymore. My mind might have changed, and then I wouldn't be able to post the video. That's sort of what happened when I made the Stay Well writers video. I had content that I had pre-filmed, and then it didn't sit right to publish it after that. So then I just had some content that I made that I couldn't use. And so to avoid that from now on, I've changed my publishing schedule a little bit, because I can still batch film, but I'm going to upload probably, I'd say 1 to 4 videos a month towards the beginning of the month is what I'm aiming for. And then just have those sit for a month. And then the beginning of every month, upload another 1 to 4 videos. So schedule-wise, that's what you can expect from me. In order so that they're relevant by the published date. I might change my mind still. I might not like what I say, but at least they were relevant at the published date. Where if I filmed something 3 weeks in advance to publish 3 weeks later, I could be like, I can't publish this, and I did this work and I can't publish it. So this is real world stuff of how your content evolves as you evolve, and as life evolves, and as the world evolves. Also, the background, besides my little faux diner with the counter and the bar stools behind me over here, is another realistic way of how I will actually film. Because over here, over here is where I normally would set up with that white background, where I could put stuff, which is now going to be here if I want to put anything on the screen. It takes very little time, and it's still more mental energy that I can exert. And if I wanted to actually make videos again, which I did, it had to be just at my desk, where it takes virtually no setup. I just have to plug in my microphone. And these are all, again, just things that you can think about for your own work, because I always say you have to make it manageable. If you lay out a 100-point plan that you need to check off every single time you create content, you're not going to do it, because it's too much work. So this is me being realistic about how I'll film, and I can't put a lot of energy into my setup because I don't have a lot of extra energy right now. But this isn't like some big mysterious thing. If you know me from Copyblogger, this is the background you get when I teach any of my courses over there. So it's not some like big secret that I'm revealing. It just makes it easier for me to actually get the work done. And everyone needs to make those choices for themselves. If you have something that you care about, that you want to do, how do you make it manageable? That is my #1 productivity tip. Don't try to mimic what everyone else is doing, their version of manageable, their version of what looks good. If you want to do something, how do you break it down so that you actually do it? And this is an example of how I will actually start filming and posting videos again, by just doing it at my desk. My energy was in a different place a year ago when I started, when, like I said, it took very little time to set up over there, but it's not happening right now. And then the last thing I just wanted to address was the parody video. That was the last, it was the last one that I uploaded, and how that came to be, again, to help you with your own creative choices. So everyone on YouTube had been bothering me for a really long time, over the last month and a half. I didn't know how I felt. There's a lot of parody song videos that I'd come across, and I didn't know how I felt about it, and I kind of was just annoyed at every video, because I'm like, you're so privileged if you can make a video, you're not actually suffering as much as other people. I don't know, I'm aware. I just wanted to stay really aware of the people who are in the worst ways affected by the pandemic. And it made me uncomfortable filming, even though, you know, there's still a need for education online. There's a need for entertainment. There's a need for comedy. And I'm not criticizing anyone who just kind of kept on immediately, but it wasn't right for me. And like I said, I didn't even like parody videos, but I ended up writing the parody song lyrics in my head, and I was singing them for like 2 weeks just to myself. And I don't sing, obviously, so I didn't have any intention of making a video about it, or with this stupid little song that I made up in my head. I grew up listening to music from Les Miserables, like the Broadway version before it was a movie. So it was something that came easily in my head when you like have heard it over and over and over again since you were a little kid. And so I was singing this stupid song in my head, and it's like, oh, I bet other people had made parody videos for I Dreamed a Dream. So I looked them up, and yeah, the lyrics were fine. Again, I don't want to criticize what anyone does creatively or what works for them or what they feel good with, but all those people that I found who were doing parody videos, they all seemed like singers who wanted to show off their voices, and the lyrics were more like an afterthought. Like they changed like a little bit of the lyrics, but not that much. And I thought what was funny about my version is that I'm so not a singer, and I have nothing to show off vocally. And so I'm like, well, that, I don't know, in my head it sort of made it funnier, and it still relates to the theme of you have to do something that's going to serve an audience, but you want to do something that you like too, that you think is funny. I was like, well, this is funny. I don't sing, but I really like how I changed these lyrics. And I just made the choice to do that as something different, because I could give my normal writing talk and productivity talk and creativity talk and all of that stuff, but to actually grow a little bit more, I wanted to do something different. It's not something that I'm going to do all the time. Maybe I'll do another parody somewhere down the line. I learned a lot from making that video. But I went from completely not wanting to do it and 100% thinking that was the right choice to everything sort of coming together artistically. And I saw how I wanted to do it. I saw how I could do it in a way that made me comfortable with publishing it. And I ended up doing it. And that is something, you know, you can use with honing your own artistic skills and editor skills, really, because you're making artistic choices every step of the way to produce content that matches your intentions as closely as possible. Everyone is going to interpret what you do differently. And that's just part of art. How people interpret an artist's work can be very different from the artist's intentions. And that's fine, because that's part of it. So that's why I did that video. And it also, yeah, I guess my last point about that is just what you get on this channel. Because again, this is the new channel trailer when you get to the Revision Fairy page on YouTube. Just writing tips to me is very limited, because I'm so fascinated with the creative process and evolving and growing as a writer and an editor and an artist. And while there are going to be really specific writing tips on this channel, I offer a lot of philosophical context and productivity context and production context to actually get the work done. Because I could explain the difference between compliment with an I and compliment with an E. It doesn't mean you're actually going to make time to do the writing work that is going to further your career. So I'm bearing the lead a little bit here, but this channel is for anyone who is looking to make a living in a creative field, because that's really what I talk about in terms of writing advice. It is micro writing advice and it's macro writing advice. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, I already said I'm going to be uploading 1 to 4 videos a month towards the beginning of the month from now on. So click the red subscribe button below the video. And when you do, tap the notification bell also, because then you'll get a note alerting you that I've uploaded new videos. So you know to go check them out, and then check them out at your leisure, because you'll have time before I upload another batch. Please like this video as well. It helps me know that you're into what I'm doing. And I think that's it. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.